You are listening to a recording from the 2021 PM&R Scholars Virtual Residency Fair. We would like to take a moment to thank the residency programs who have taken the time to present at our fair this year. This year's PM&R Scholars Virtual Residency Fair is supported by PM&R Recap, the best resource for your physiatry clinical preparation, audition rotations, board preparation, and beyond. PM&R Recap offers 35 hours of review videos, hundreds of review questions, and even oral board cases. Head to pmnrrecap.com to learn more.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jennifer Paul. I'm the program director at the University of Rochester Medical Center. I wanted to first just thank PM&R Scholars for putting this event together tonight. We really appreciate it. Next slide. First, I want to show off our program leadership. So I'm off to the left-hand side. Then we have Dr. Sarah Salim. She's our associate program director. And then Kathy Flanagan, who's also on tonight, is next. And then our chair is Dr. Raj Patel. And then we've got some great speakers tonight. We have several residents representing our program. We have Samia Aujla on the left. We have Sean Silverman at the bottom. And then Kyle Smith is on the right. And then we have some junior residents also speaking about the program tonight. Josh Smith, who's on the left, and Pat O'Connor is on the right. And they'll get us started.
Hey everyone, my name's Patrick. I'm one of the PGY2s. So just wanted to quickly talk about some of the unique and really aspects of our program. So first thing is that it's categorical, which for me was huge. It's one system you have to learn. You get to do your entire intern year here. Dr. Paul has kind of complete control over what we do. So we only do things that she thinks is important for us moving on to PGY 2 through 4. It's really nice because you get to work with neurology residents, medicine, of course, but you get to work with the people mostly work with or consult moving forward, and you get to kind of make new friends that you get to keep, and you don't have to pack up and move more than once. So the intern year is incredible. I was really not expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, and I think it's sorry if you guys are losing me a little bit. The culture here at Rochester is just incredible. I shouldn't say never felt overwhelmed, but I always felt supported and learned a lot. And again, really enjoyed the intern year. We as a program are growing. Currently, we're in the process of getting a second unit, and specifically a TBI unit. So still exactly figuring it out, but should kind of grow by at least a third. We'll talk about the number of beds we have in a second, but we're growing as an inpatient unit and also as an outpatient unit. We'll talk about this in a little bit too, but just getting a whole bunch of new attendings, a big MSK growth in the last couple of years. And as a program, we're increasing our size to 4 residents per year. Currently, we're at 3. And we should be, by this year, getting our first class of 4, which is always a good sign of growth. And the final thing, the faculty to resident ratio is incredible. A lot of times we're working 1 with 2 attendings, and it's just great teaching opportunity. Next slide, please. And quickly, just some of the awesome perks. So I'll kind of read this off and then we can always ask questions, but a ton of vacation days with a lot of flexibility. You have to take 2 weeks consecutively intern year, but then after that, certain rotations you can't take vacation on, but otherwise really flexible, 20 a year. We have tons of ample opportunity if you're sick, if you have interviews, a board review course for seniors. We're given a $300 a year allowance for books or for Q banks. And something that I know, I believe Kyle's going to touch on a little bit, is Rochester is such an affordable city with a lot to do. And that's really, I think, the biggest plus, which Kyle's going to tackle in a minute. Next slide.
All right, so my name is Sean Silverman. I'm one of the chief residents here. I'll be talking about our rotation schedule. So on the inpatient side of things, we spend our time at 2 different places. At Strong Memorial Hospital, our unit is 20 beds with the plans to add 11 additional beds that would be private for traumatic brain injury patients. So currently with the 20 beds, we split in half for 2 residents. 10 patients belong to the red team, which is brain injury and stroke, and 10 patients are the blue team, which is spinal cord injury and the medically complex, including polytrauma, liver transplants, heart transplants, new LVADs. You do 4 months on the red team with our brain injury attending, and 4 months on the blue team, some of which will be spent with our new spinal cord injury trained attending. Our second unit is at Unity Hospital. It's a 25-bed unit, more opportunities there to see things like cognitive evaluations, PT and OT sessions, swallow studies. 4 months are there as well. We also do an additional 4 months of consults, all at Strong Memorial Hospital. It's a separate rotation from floors. For outpatient, we have 2 MSK sports rotations. 3 of the attendings are PM&R trained, 2 fellowship trained, and the other third attending is family medicine, sports medicine trained. It's always one-on-one with the attending. It's truly a see one, do one philosophy when it comes to injections and procedures. You'll have tons of ultrasound times and no issues meeting your numbers. For spine, we have 6 attendings, 5 are fellowship trained and interventionalists. Very similar story, lots of fluoro time, lots of numbers, 2 required months, and it's a good rotation. For EMGs, we do 3 months in a row as a 4th year. This allows us to kind of get our feet wet as a PGY2 and PGY3, develop our skills, and then as a 4th year, we can hit the ground running with our formal rotation. For spasticity management, we have lots of Botox opportunities as well as intrathecal baclofen pump management. For prosthetics and orthotics, it's really a team-based approach with the continuity clinic. We work one-on-one with orthotics and prosthetics, the attending and resident. Next slide, please. Our inpatient volume is more front-loaded. You do 4 to 6 months as a PGY 2 and 3 each year, and then significantly less as a 4th year. So for example, in my case, I have 2 months of consult months and 1 month on floors as a 4th year. You can see the selectives on the slide. You can tailor them to your future aspirations. If you're thinking spine or MSK, you can repeat those rotations to bolster up your numbers and your skills before you apply. If you're thinking more an inpatient career, you can actually do a junior attending block to see how that feels to be an attending. You can teach junior residents and kind of lead rounds. Electives, we have 3 months. As long as they are somewhat related to the world of PM&R, you can do them. Before COVID, this used to be a great opportunity to do away rotations, but now it's been a little bit tricky. And now we'll pass it off to the education part of our program. Next slide.
Hey everyone, I'm Josh. I'm one of the PGY3s. So in regards to our formal education, our teaching days on Thursday mornings, it's protected time. So we don't have to worry about writing notes in the morning, inpatient, outpatient, you just show up and kind of go about the day. It's an 18-month lecture series, so you see everything twice with the exception of our annual anatomy and physical exam course. So that kind of serves as the basis for everything. And allows us to learn more about other things, and also as an intro for our PGY2s. We do mock orals to help prep for future tests, as well as doing journal clubs and board question reviews during formal time, as well as through our group text, kind of just question of the day, just to kind of keep things interesting, as well as having program meetings monthly with Dr. Paul, who's very responsive to any of our feedback. So it's an excellent opportunity to kind of let your voice be heard in the program. Next slide. So we have a fantastic faculty. It's ever expanding, as Pat was kind of talking about, as well as Sean. I think in the time I've been here, we've added definitely over 5, but close to 10 inpatient, outpatient attendings, all with very interests, so that you're kind of able to connect with someone who will help you, guide you on whatever career path you're interested in. In regard to that, we set up people with mentors during your first 2 years. It's Dr. Paul and Dr. Salim, which is great because they really know the program and are super responsive to any concerns that you might have or any struggles that you're going through, especially during the intern year. Not that they're not otherwise, but those are usually come up. And, PGY 3 and 4, you choose your own advisor, someone who has similar career interests with you to help kind of guide you on your career path. Next slide. And there's a lot of different teaching and volunteer opportunities within the program in the city of Rochester. So we see medical students throughout their time in medical school and are able to kind of impact them in different ways through different opportunities that we have, which is excellent. And there's also a lot of opportunities to get involved with different organizations like the Rochester Spinal Association, who does the annual spinal cord injury fair seen here pre-COVID, and just an excellent opportunity to interact and learn more about the Rochester spinal cord injury population. Next slide.
Hey everyone, my name is Sami. I'm one of the chiefs. So I'll be talking a little bit about call. We are responsible for our inpatient unit 51200. We have 20 beds currently. And like the resident said, we are expanding to add another traumatic brain injury unit. So that'll be another 9 or 10 beds. Call is again at home, which is so great. We only go in if we need to, but otherwise we just carry our pager around on weekends. We round with our attendings, but you're usually done by noon. The total number of weekends you'll work from PGY2 to PGY4 year is about 17 weekends. So it's not bad. And weekdays, about 70 weekdays. And then as you go along through residency, you'll have less and less calls. So again, as a chief, we don't have many weekends left at all. So it's really nice. Next slide. And then a little bit about our after residency. We have most of our residents go into the job of their choice or their first fellowship option. We've had our residents go into our own URMC Spine Fellowship, which started this year, and our new PM&R MSK Sports Fellowship, which is starting in 2022. We also have a pain fellowship through the anesthesiology department, and we've had prior residents go through that one as well, and we do rotations with them. And then we have a close by hospital that offers a pain spine MSK fellowship, in which we have a resident going into that. Our past graduates have even gone into fellowship opportunities outside of Rochester. So they've gone for cancer fellowship or spinal cord injury fellowship at top universities. So we've had people go to MSK, Memorial Sloan Kettering, Houston, and currently I'm applying for pain fellowship, and our other co-residents applying for a traumatic brain injury fellowship. So we have a lot of experience with fellowship and a lot of great opportunities just here in Rochester. Next slide.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Kyle Smith. I'm the third and final chief resident for this year. So I have the honor of talking about the best part of this presentation, which is all of the great things that we have to do in and around Rochester. So resident wellness is a huge emphasis for our program. Prior to the pandemic, we had scheduled department wellness events at least 4 times a year for residents and sometimes faculty as well. Each year we have a residency graduation for awards presentation and to say goodbye to our departing seniors. So those are the pictures on the bottom left and bottom right. So last year was obviously virtual, but we're able to do it in person this year. In addition, each summer we have a welcome event for new interns where we get together at our program coordinator's lake house in the Finger Lakes, which is always a nice time as well. We can go next slide, please. A few of our wellness events in the past have included laser tag, pitting the residents against the faculty. We went and took curling lessons at the Rochester Curling Club, and we've had informal get-togethers as well, including the Halloween parties, similar to what you see in the bottom left. Next slide. Also plenty of informal kind of impromptu get-togethers, doing things like taking walks along the Erie Canal during the summer, going apple picking, doing corn mazes in the fall, opportunities for skiing in the winter. Rochester is also known for its numerous festivals throughout the year, so some of these pictures will be from there. So in the bottom left, a couple of years ago, several of us went to the Rochester Craft Beer Festival, which had a collection of local breweries from all over upstate New York. Next slide. So as Pat mentioned earlier, so Rochester is a mid-sized city. It affords access to a lot of amenities that you get from living in a larger city without some of the headaches like traffic and higher cost of living. So there's a great music scene here. Numerous concert and music venues, including the Canandaigua Performing Arts Center, the Kodak Eastman Kodak Theater. During the summer, there's an outdoor concert series called Party in the Park, where they have pretty well-known bands come every few weeks and play outdoors downtown. There's minor league sports teams in the form of the Rochester Red Wings, who are a AAA team for the Washington Nationals. There's also minor league hockey in the form of the Rochester Americans. There's a really good outdoor public market that's held a couple of times per week. Great place to get fresh produce and see some local vendors. And if you don't already know, Rochester is also the home and birthplace of Wegmans, which is the greatest grocery store that there is. And a couple other pictures on here. So we have the Eastman Kodak Museum, which houses one of the largest museums about the history of film. We also have a nice outdoor amusement park for families during the summer. Next slide. Plenty of museums, things to keep you occupied during the colder winter months here in Rochester. So we have the Rochester Museum and Science Center, the Strong Museum of Play, which is home to the National Toy Hall of Fame. We got a couple of indoor gardens, including the Lamberton Conservatory in the bottom right here, and an indoor butterfly garden at the Strong Museum of Play. Go to the next slide. We have a zoo. It's called the Seneca Park Zoo. It's a great weekend activity, whether you're an adult or you have kids. They just put in like a new African safari exhibit a couple of years ago. They have an Arctic exhibit with polar bears as well, so it's pretty cool. We have easy access to the Finger Lakes, which I think is a huge perk. Several of the lakes within like 30 to 45 minutes, offering great opportunities for hiking through the beautiful gorges, similar to what you see on the right. Plenty of waterfalls, boating, fishing activities as well. And even though most of the mountains in New York State are a little bit further east, we do have a ski mountain about 40 minutes south of Rochester that offers some great opportunities for skiing and snowboarding, opportunities to take lessons as well. So it's very easy to get to during the winter, and fortunately we get plenty of snow. Next slide. So one of the other great perks about upstate New York is there's some really great state parks, including Letchworth State Park. So these top two pictures are from that park, which is affectionately known as the Grand Canyon of the East. We're also right on Lake Ontario, and there's some great state parks along there with sandy beaches and bluffs, some great hiking trails, and obviously with so many bodies of water around, great opportunities for boating and fishing if that's what you're into. Next slide. So all in all, Rochester, fantastic community. Like I said, offers a lot of perks of city life, but also great access to the outdoors as well. So there's plenty to do here to keep you busy when you're not at work. Next slide. So if you want to learn more about us, we do have an Instagram page where we'll post, pictures from events throughout the week that, resident get-togethers outside of work. There's plenty of information on our website as well, including a video tour and some information on virtual medical student rotations if you think that that's something that you might be interested in. And that's it. So I'll leave it open to questions.
So I'll answer this one since I think I'm the only osteopath on. This is hold on. So I'm Sean. I'm one of the fourth years. So for OMT, I've actually used it a couple times inpatient for some of the brain injury patients who've had like like neck injuries and like kind of headaches from that, like cervical myofascial headaches. But there is no formal like OMT like clinics. I had seen other family medicine providers actually use them and document them on some of the patients that we work with. And I've always been interested in reaching out to them because I see them documented in their notes, but I personally I haven't used formal OMT on like a day-to-day basis. And I guess the next question is good for me since I just had a kid. So my little one's 4 months old today, and it's been very family friendly. I was able to use my vacation days to take time off. Dr. Paul and Kathy were able to kind of like work around my schedule. My residents were able to like switch everything around. So like I was able to be on a rotation that allowed me to be off. And so it worked out very well. And there's actually my wife did a ton of research into the best daycare facilities. And we actually found out that the best one is the one attached to the hospital, and a ton of doctors and residents and nurses and staff use that daycare center, the one that's attached to the hospital itself.
You should also plug, Sean, that Western and upstate New York has a great school system too. Ultimately, if you were to do residency here and elect to stay here, which a lot of people do. There's also a question here about how much snow do you get? I think the average is somewhere around like 100 inches. It kind of comes in numerous small storms, and occasionally we get big storms. It's really actually pretty manageable. It's nice it's nice to look at, but it doesn't cause too much of a headache for the most part. They do a great job of keeping the roads clear around here.
And that's all the time we
I
have.
just Googled real quick, 77 inches.
So thank you so much to the University of Rochester. Really appreciate your guys' time.